Hello, my name is Versailles, and this is the champion profile for Ahri. Some notes. Number 1, I'm talking about her from a 3-star and level 30 perspective. There's going to be a vastly different experience at 2 stars or 6 stars. We are also talking about her in the context of Aurelion Sol, which means that certain builds might not be as good for Lysandra or Swain or Weekly Nightmares. Number 3, she's also very new, which means that we might not have a full scope of what she's capable of here, although she is able to clear Lysandra pretty early, so probably not a lot's going to change there. And number 4, as always, I know nothing about the lore. This is Ahri, the Nine-Tailed Fox. She is a 2-cost Ionia champion with a power and health of 2 and quick attack. Her card reads, attack the first time I attack strike, swap me with the ally to my right, then recall it. Level up, you've recalled 5+ allies. Attack strike is an effect when the unit strikes with an attack, so if you strike during an attack with another method, that does not count. When she levels up, she gains elusive and gets new card text. When you recall an ally, reduce its cost by 1, and attack each time I attack strike, swap me with the ally to my right, then recall it. So before she's leveled, she'll only swap once. After she's leveled, she'll swap with anything that's to her right. Her champion spell is Charm. It is a 2-cost focus spell which reads, recalls an ally to give an enemy vulnerable this round. This is Ahri's starting deck. It contains 3 spells, 5 units, and Ahri. The first one is Charm. This, with mana potion, will cost 1. It is a focus spell, and it recalls an ally to give an enemy vulnerable this round. We have Dancing Droplet, who has special delivery, so attack, plant 5 poison puff caps in the enemy deck. Dancing Droplet is a 1/1 with elusive, and when it's recalled, draw 1. We have Sparring Student with Coral Crush Gauntlets, which is +1/+0 and Brash. It is a 1-cost, and with the Coral Crush Gauntlets, it'll be a 2/1. The 1-cost 2/1. When you summon another ally, give me +1/+1 this round. We have Ahri herself, which we've gone over. We have Mr. Root. This is a 2-cost, a 0/1 with Bright Staff and Elusive. It also comes with Spirit, so when it drops, it'll be, I believe, a 2/3 with Elusive. And when it's summoned, draw 1. We have Sprite Dance with Oracle's Lens. This is a 2-cost fast spell. Recall an ally to grant all stacks of its spirit to another ally. This Oracle Lens gives it Predict. When you recall the ally to give your stacks of spirit to another ally, it does not remove the stacks of spirit from the ally that it's on. And then we have the Maker with Pickaxe. This is a 3-cost 5/2. Play recall a unit with less power than me. You can get this pretty big, so you can recall a lot of units. However, I do believe this is still the worst card in Ahri's deck. We have Homecoming. This is a 4-cost fast spell. Recall an ally unit or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. This comes with Mighty Mustache, which summons a Mighty Poro, which is a 3-cost 3/3 with Overwhelm. This spell is your primary defensive spell. It is able to recall an enemy unit, potentially keep your unit safe, and additionally it summons a creature, so it's very good. And you have Skirmisher's Saber, or Pathless Ancient with Skirmisher's Saber and Phage. This is a 4-cost 6/5 with Challenger, and it costs 2 less for each unit you recall this round. So if you use Homecoming, this will be free to play. Next, we have Ahri's Constellations. This is probably the most beautifully laid out constellation in the game. It also has really good node access. Her first star is Spirit's Blessing. When you recall an ally, give it Spirit. This is especially good with Whispers from Past Lives, which is +1 starting mana, and units keep permanent stat buffs and keywords when recalled. When you recall an ally, reduce its cost by 1. So this combined with Ahri's level up will reduce the cost of a unit by 2. And being able to keep these when recalled, the keywords and stat buffs, means that every time you recall, you're keeping the Spirit from Spirit's Blessing. 3-star is Spirit's Blessing 2. when you summon or recall an ally granted spirit. So with this, you get spirit both on the way in and on the way out, which is incredible. Her 4-star is Hold It, which is just round start stun the strongest enemy. This is a powerful spell. Your beginning, you don't really have a lot built up, so having the ability to stall your opponent for a little bit is very good. Her Star of Blessings is the maker has Locket of the Iron Solari, so that gives it barrier. I don't think that's particularly great. Her 5-star is Mana Flow. Game start, get a Mana Gem. That's the same as basically everyone's. Star of Discovery is spells you acquire and adventures have Mana Potion. So potentially this will allow you to play your recalls for a lot cheaper. The Star of Bounty is +2 rerolls. The Star of Legends is your support champions have Stalker's Blade. This is incredibly powerful because you can recall them as many times as you want, and every time you play them, they will strike and become stronger. So they'll get +2 stats from the spirit coming in and going out, and then they'll strike the weakest enemy with that. Star of Wonder is Dancing Droplet, has Flash Bomb Satchel. This makes your droplet, give traps in 2 different ways. I don't know that this really matters. You don't get like a lot of attacks with Ahri, so whatever. The 6-star is Parting Gift. When you recall an ally, it strikes the enemy nexus. I assume this is absolutely broken, especially if you're using like a Hymn of Valor build. You're going to just do so much damage to the enemy nexus so fast. Also, when you level her up, you'll be able to do damage, 6 times in a row. Her gemstone powers are Celestial Bounty, +1 reroll for Ionian champions. Celestial Insight, +100% XP for Ionian champions. We have the Star of Legends. Support cards have an additional item. And Celestial Fortune is +5% chance to find epic items and powers, +1% to find legendary powers. This is the same on everyone. Gemstone powers aren't real because you don't have gemstones. As you can see, I literally have 0. Alright, now to the overview. My competence with Ahri is probably average. I don't know, I beat Lissandra with her, maybe it's slightly above average. Champion Reliance is going to be low, well, maybe medium or high, depending on your build. Your board space is typically fine. You can get into situations where it's over full, but not. You're usually winning at that point. Your hand space is fine until you level up, then it becomes an actual problem. This also usually doesn't matter, because when you level up, you're usually winning big game. The amount of cards you play per turn is a lot, and for safety, you are fairly safe. Your units come down with Spirit, so they're good at blocking Fearsome. You also have Homecoming to Return units. You also have Elusive blockers, and also you can win on round 2. So all of that makes you pretty safe. Your turn to win is somewhere between 1 and 5, depending on your build. Your win condition is either to make units big and hit with Elusive, or make units big and hit with Curator's Gatebreaker. There are other ways you can do it as well, but it all revolves around making your units big. Your speed is going to be slow or fast, depending on which build you use. She does have a lot of animation time regardless, but if you're killing your opponent in 1 or 2 rounds, that's going to be a pretty fast game. Her power is a 10, and her fun level is also a 10. Her deck strength is that her deck is extremely versatile and can be played either champion focused or not, and either way is going to be powerful. She has lots of draw, good scaling, and her cards are all very low cost. Her weaknesses are that you can start out a bit slow, and recalling your units is basically required. So if you don't get spells that recall, you're not going to be able to scale. Sometimes you have too many units in your hand, and so that's a problem. And also sometimes when you recall your units, that leaves you open to taking extra damage from your opponents by not having enough blockers. So yeah, I would say those are her weaknesses. Overall, still very strong. Play pattern. She has many play styles. Her 2 main ideas are combo or wideboard. An example of a combo style is Hymn of Valor plus Last Chapter. So basically you recall Ahri a lot of times, and each time you play her, you use Hymn of Valor to either double her stats or you can double the stats of another unit if you don't want to double her stats for some reason every time you replay her, and you can replay her usually a couple of times per round, with Lost Chapter refilling your spell mana every time. So you could stack impacts with Regal's Lantern. That's another way you can do a combo. So let's say you get up to 10 impact, then when you attack on level up, if you're recalling a full board, you're going to hit 10 times, and each time is going to do impact 10 times. I think that's a silly way to do it, but it is a thing you can do. The wide board strategy is pretty straightforward. You just play all your units a lot of times and you strike. When you're playing in this method, you're mostly not recalling Ahri, and you would use something like Fear Cleaving Axe to scale every time you attack. You still use recalls a lot to scale and draw cards. Relics, honestly, she can use pretty much anything because her builds are so versatile. You have so many options. But a common thing that you would do is say Echoing Spirit, Hymn of Valor, and either Hidden Tome or Lost Chapter. This gets you lots of draws of Ahri with Echoing Spirit, and then you get to play her and just double her stats a lot. Echoing Spirit also makes her champion spell cost 0, so you can play Charm for free. Instead of Echoing Spirit, you can use Curator's Gatebreaker. That will let you strike every time you recall her. I think it slows you down just a little bit, but it is very powerful. You can use Hymn of Valor with Hidden Tome and Secret Technique. That way, every time that you cast Hymn of Valor, you get extra stats. So you get the double, and then however much that was is applied again from Secret Technique. You could just use Stalker's Blade or Guardian's Orb, and every time you play her, you're going to get an effect from Guardian's Orb, or strike the enemy with Stalker's Blade. I think this is inferior. Stalker's Blade is inferior to Curator's Gatekeeper. Guardian's Orb is probably very fun, usually is, on anything that can make use of Guardian's Orb. You can also do Oath of Guardians and Star Gem, because she is a low-cost champion. You can play her on round 1, and then reduce the cost of your allied champions by 4 by having 2 Star Gems, and that is a way to win the game. This is just for her combo version. If you want to be actually attacking, you can use the Beast Within for Overwhelm. You can use Fear Cleaving Axe. Every unit you play has Spirit, so it boosts all units every time you attack. You could use Death Spoil to make it so that when you attack, you can't take damage or die. You can use Found Fortune. This kind of accelerates your playstyle by giving you an extra card in hand, and those cards will either be Charm, which lets you play Ahri again, or Sparring Student, so that just gets a unit on the board, or the last one is... Why can't I remember right? Charm, Sparring Student... Dancing Droplet. So having Dancing Droplet on is an elusive, so you can trade places with an elusive and hit the Nexus, or when you recall it, you can also draw a card, and so it just kind of accelerates your play. You could use Corrupted Star Fragment to give all that scaling to Ahri. You can use Spirit of the Buru because you have 2 1-cost allies, and also after you recall Ahri, she will also become a 1-cost ally the next time you play her. You get the Overwhelm, Quick Attack, and Fury from doing that. As we mentioned, you could use Regal's Lantern if you wanted to. One thing you can do is at the end of a round recall her, so you don't lose the benefit of her being on the board, and then you are granted impact twice. So you only need to do that for 5 rounds. 5 rounds is a lot of rounds, though. I probably wouldn't go that way. You can use Green Glade Shadeleaf, which grants your supported ally elusive. This isn't necessarily needed because you do have Mr. Root and Dancing Droplet, who both have elusive, but you do want to be swapping places with something with elusive until you level her up. I think the best build, if you're doing this, is going to be Fear Cleaving Axe with the Beast Within, and then you can pick one of the other powers. It kind of doesn't matter which. If you have the Beast Within, you don't need elusive anymore because you can just hit. I might go with something like Essence Theft if you have it. That's your pay-to-win signature relic. Or, I don't know, Death Spoil. I might also use Hymn of Valor here. Like, there's just so many options you can use. You can also use Spectral Scissors. I don't have that on here, but that's another option. So yeah, Ahri just has an infinity of options. Essence Theft is her signature relic, as I alluded to before. When you recall another unit, grant me +1/+0, and power is game start, create a homecoming in hand, and grant it double time watch. This double time watch will apply to your starting homecomings as well, not just the one that's created in hand. And since you're recalling a lot of other units, you actually make Ahri very big, very fast. So Essence Theft is very good if you're planning on attacking. I prefer the Hymn of Valor, Lost Chapter, and Curator's Gatebreaker. I just think it's the most fun, but if you like wide boards, this is equally powerful. For powers, as you can see, you can use basically anything. Again, her deck is so versatile that it really doesn't matter. So if you're using Lost Chapter, you probably don't use sorcery, but as always, we have Perfected Mana Flow. Spellslinger will make charm cost 0, which is very good. Also reduce the cost of Homecoming. Mystic Meditation to reduce the cost of Homecoming. Those are powerful spells, so you do want to be able to use them. For defensive, you have Trifarian Might. Everything you summon will eventually get 5 power because of the spirit going in and out. So Trifarian Might is actually insane. I would consider it maybe her best power. You have Hold It, which is her 4-star, but it's just a good ability always. Hold them off, Treasure's Strain, just normal stuff I would put on anyone. And Enfeebling Strike I added here because Ahri does have quick attack, and sometimes it's hard for her to attack. So if you can reduce the enemy's power before they hit you back, then Enfeebling Strike's going to be good. I wouldn't consider it top tier, but it is something that, like, if it shows up, you're not sad to get. Her offensive powers are Duplicate, as always with everyone. This is actually maybe less good on Ahri than other people, because her spells are not really going to need to be duplicated. And then if you have 2 of her on board, it's going to be harder to replay her. But I mean, I don't think you're going to go wrong with duplicate either way. Domination, of course, for around start rally. If you're playing a Hymn of Valor build, not super necessary because you're not necessarily attacking, but obviously in an attack-focused build, you're going to want to do that. Crush for Overwhelm. Overwhelm is just good, especially when you have giant units. Higher Education, you can draw a lot of cards by recalling Mr. Root and Dancing Droplet multiple times. So giving them your allies +1/+0 every time you draw a card, that could probably stack up pretty well. I also imagine Lion Weight would be good. Everything costs 3 or less, so they're all lurkers and have lurk. You don't attack a lot of times, so I mean, maybe that's not that's something you can consider. For keywords, Evolution is incredible. Same with Welcome Gifts, Sharing is Caring, Grandeur Plaza. These are just always good, but they're also good for Ahri. You have a lot of keywords. Everything has Spirit, for example, so you're always going to get +1/+1. Ahri has Quick Attack. Mr. Root and Dancing Droplet have Elusive, something like that. For other things you could use, Counterfeit Production will let you draw more Ahris, so you can use her Charm spell more times. Out of the Gates will summon either Mr. Root or Ahri. I don't know if I would necessarily take that, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt to just have her on board, but sometimes you want to take advantage of the play effect. Inheritance will transfer all of the spirit stacks, basically, all of the power from the spirit stacks to units in hand, which is great. Explosive Entrance because you're summoning a lot of allies. Titanic Wake because everything will eventually have more than 8 attack or health. Arumi Shield is good because you cast a lot of spells. You probably use Spellburn too, but I don't know how significant it is. And Yip's Genius, you have Dancing Droplet and Sparring Student as 1-cost baseline, and you also have Ahri after she's recalled the first time. And what this says is grant it +2/+2, which means that every time you play it, it's going to get the effect of Yip's Genius. So you play it, it gets Yip's Genius +2, then you recall it and play it again, it gets +2 more. And then Slow But Steady, if you're using a Hymn of Valor build, will be incredible because you're going to get doubled twice, so quadruple stats every time you play Ahri. And here are some extra tips. The first tip I have is regarding Charm. So this is also Ahri's champion spell. If you use Charm and then you hit pass, which I do constantly, you pass the turn, and then it is your opponent's turn. So yeah, I do that just all the time. Don't. Tip number 2, it's always important to be aware of your attack order when you're playing Ahri. So here we're attacking in a way that we're recalling our lowest power unit and swapping with Ahri. This keeps us doing the maximum amount of damage here. One thing we could do if we needed to was swap this lowest cost with an elusive. This would give Ahri elusive, kind of pseudo-elusive, by switching it with something that nothing on this board could block. Obviously, if they can block elusives, then that doesn't work. But in this case, Lulu does not have elusive, so Ahri would be able to swap here and then do 7 damage. We have Overwhelm, so that doesn't matter. Another thing to think about is you do have Homecoming, so if you are playing a build with Overwhelm, so either the Beast Within or Troll King's Crown, one thing you can do is just like plan for that ahead of time. So if I attack this way, Lulu's going to block something. She has to, but we do have Homecoming in hand, which means what we can do is recall an ally, and this will give us 2 recalls, which will level Ahri up, which means Ahri will attack all the way down this line of attackers. So if we do it like this, because we're recalling the squirrel, we won't have that happen, because Ahri won't get that attack in. But if we do it this way, she will. So I guess the better attack order would have been to put the squirrel at the end. I didn't do that. But yeah. So here, Ahri levels up, and she's just going to swap with everything down the line. Even if she isn't leveling up here, doing that using Homecoming will let you, if you have Overwhelm, recall a unit, and then since they're not blocking, you hit with the entire force of your Overwhelm, so that can help you get just a little bit extra damage in. Going back to Relics for a second, Hidden Tome here can always be replaced with Lost Chapter instead. It doesn't make a huge difference, and the Beast Within can be replaced with Troll King's Crown. That's it'll be fine. You lose maybe a little bit of the +1, but not like an immense amount. The third tip is to be cognizant of your hand space. Here we have 6 cards in the hand. If we attack with everything, we're actually going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards back in our hand, which obviously we can't hold. And also recalling Dancing Droplet will give us a 6 card. So here, for maximum damage, this is still the correct thing to do. But if you're thinking about just cards you want to have left over in your hand when you're done, it would be better to attack this way. This wouldn't burn any cards, and then you could replay them. So we would just avoid Dancing Droplet in this scenario. More tips and tricks. You can recall your allies as a heal, as the damage doesn't stay on replay. So you can use that a lot to just keep making your units stronger and also healing them. You can use Charm to create beneficial attacks by taking advantage of the vulnerable. You can challenge things that Ahri doesn't want to hit, just move them off to the side. And then you can have Ahri and whatever you're swapping with on the right hand side. Double attack does not work when Ahri swaps, so it's less effective than usual. So when she attack strikes, that will immediately cause her to move over to the right before the double attack hits. Sprite Dance, as I said in the card section, it does not remove spirit stacks from the recalled unit, and Frostbite and Silence are especially bad. So I did an Aurelion Sol run, he used the Silence on me, a Moonlight Affliction, and yeah, that just ruins you completely, because it also gets rid of your spirit stacks. And then share the bounty doesn't impact any of your starting cards, and share the bounty is when you target an ally with a single target spell, copy it on your weakest ally. This does not affect any of your starting cards, but if you do take extra cards like Tag Out, I think, where you're recalling, or just Recall, where you recall a single unit, just be aware that it will recall 2 units instead of 1. And that is all for our champion profile on Ahri. The companion video is going to be a little different this time. It is from a lower level. I think I was level 26, and I just did an Aurelion Sol run, and it was phenomenal. So I just recorded that, and there's no reason to do another one because they all look kind of the same. Yeah, that's it. If you like what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.